taking the time to hear from us this morning. And the Senate Natural Resources Committee is still going with testimony from local officials. So what I thought I would do is I'll just say a few words and then hand it over to Jared and Brian Fletcher from Irisburg, and then I'll run downstairs and get the rest of the folks up here, okay? So I'm not leaving. I'm just, okay.
Seamless. This is just seamless, right?
Yes, I'm Steve Marks from Stratford. So we've set you up at the first floor or so, folks.
Okay, so just so you know, at 10 of 12, I have to leave
Okay.
because I have an appointment across the street.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. So, thank you. Through the end of November, there were 1,461 applications for solar facilities in Vermont. 1,215 of them were for less than 15 kilowatts. We also have 4,996 solar sites that generate 94,800 kilowatts of electricity in place on the ground today. We also have 13 wind turbines over 100 kilowatts on the ground in Vermont today. The governor told the Lake Champlain Chamber of Commerce last week that he expects to see a doubling of solar installations in the coming year, in 2016. The success in deploying solar and wind definitely moves Vermont towards its goal of 90% renewable by 2050. However, it does not serve all people in all situations or areas of the state, which is why you have a state house full of local officials here who are going to describe the processes that transpired in their towns. As we move ahead in deploying energy generation, we have to get the process right this year. We can't wait. We'll have missed the boat completely. We believe that there's not a balance today between the public good that is renewable and reliable energy production and the public good of thoughtful land use and other priorities on the local level that reflect state goals of compact settlement surrounded by rural countryside. VLCT's municipal policy, which was adopted by the membership back in October, calls on the legislature to ensure that Vermont's energy supply remains reliable and that the Public Service Board restores balance between the transition to renewable energy and the protection of land use priorities established in municipal plans and state land use goals. Accord automatic party status to affected adjacent municipalities as well as host municipalities. You gave them automatic party status last year. In the Certificate of Public Good process, the Public Service Board should give substantial deference to municipal concerns and determinations. They should include all local decisions concerning the project in the Public Service Board docket, formulate areas of inquiry based on those concerns, and address those concerns specifically in its Certificate of Public Good decision. I'm just going to leave you with that. Jared Cadwell, who's president of the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, is going to speak next, and then you will hear from local officials.
Thank you, Karen.
And we will send our testimony to the committee, but I might remind some of our participants to do that. I haven't done that yet.
Good morning, welcome.
Maybe I should just stand and deliver, but we're almost standing room here. First of all, we appreciate you taking the time to hear from us. I'm president of the Vermont League Board. I can appreciate how difficult it can be to come to terms of agreement, gathering as we do on the Vermont League Board, 240 plus towns, villages, and other municipal districts to come to a common position regarding energy siting around Vermont. I'm going to leave it to my several colleagues to speak specifically about their experiences, and based on what we're hearing from our membership, there are really good examples of how the Public Service Board regulatory process is challenging. There's opportunity to improve that process. I think we are all in agreement that the renewable energy generation goal for the state is laudable, but as is sometimes the case, the implementation is fraught with challenges. And for us, for our constituency, the challenge for us is that we have done, I think, exemplary work at the municipal, local level planning, and have invested hours, money in examining the very questions that we assume that the state, the regulatory board is going to take into consideration, and then find that there is, quite frankly, more often than not, lip service paid to those local plans and analysis that in some cases we've spent many years compiling. So I just want to leave you with that thought, that the current legislation, the current regulatory process does not take, as Karen just pointed out, substantial consideration for that good work and local experience into account when it does its siting review. And you're going to hear numerous specific examples of how we have spent an inordinate amount of time and money defending our good work at the local level. So I'll defer to Brian, who is up next, but thank you again for your time.
Again, I want to just reiterate, thank you very much for hearing us today. I'm from the town of Irisburg. I chair the select board there, and we have a situation that's been presented to us. I'll just pass down copies of what I'm going to say today.
Give us your name.
Yes, Brian Fesher,
Thank you.
and it'll be on the handout as well. Again, I want to say thank you to the VLCT for what they've done to put this together, as well as other people, and for you taking the time today. Renewable energy projects are moving along at a frantic pace. The expected deployment of some of these initiatives has citizens of this state, and in particular the town of Irisburg, alarmed. Our concern that with such a large number of projects in the pipeline, how can there be an effective, thorough manner by which they can be implemented safely and wisely? It is the right time, right now, to examine this process. The town of Irisburg in the Northeast Kingdom is threatened with the proposed construction of two 500-foot wind turbines on the most prominent ridgeline overlooking our town. It has become increasingly evident that the Northeast Kingdom has tremendous appeal to renewable energy development. Its majestic mountains and open spaces have always been appealing to travelers and tourists far and wide for decades. However, our concern lies in the vulnerability to some of Vermont's poorest communities and their ability to resist the power these project promoters may bring, and the potential deprivation they may leave behind in the wake of the PSB. The Northeast Kingdom is a net exporter of renewable energy. Our power grids are full and cannot accept any more electricity. Yet towns like Irisburg are still being targeted by industrial wind developers and solar because we are rural and lack the economic resources to defend ourselves. On October 1st, 2015, the citizens of Irisburg voted 274 to 9, 97%, not to allow the use of our ridge lines in our town for development by industrial wind turbine projects. It has been noted by many of the communities that you hear from today that we're not opposed to renewable energy, but this process and this particular place, we do oppose. Since the construction of the Sheffield and Lowell Mount projects, which now have a total of 37 visible wind turbines, and I'm not just saying you have to be, you can see them for miles from the ridges. More than 75 towns in Vermont have voiced their opposition to this siting process for renewable energy projects, either by vote, by town plan, or by resolution. We are pleading for the legislators in Montpelier to pay attention to what the citizens of these towns are saying and make legislative changes to give towns more say in the decisions that vitally affect their citizens and their future. There needs to be a balance between the public good that is renewable energy production and the public good that is represented by land use and other priorities at the established local levels. The huge scale and dominant location of two 500-foot industrial wind turbines on Irisburg's Kidder Hill Ridge would cause substantial harm to the character and well-being of our town. They would degrade our landscape, reduce our property values, and destroy forest land. Time will tell of the threat to our citizens' health and damage to wildlife habitat, all without providing any benefit to our town in lowered electricity costs or improvement to the environment. We are today reminding our legislators of the common sense Vermont way. Allow the communities of this grand state to best determine smartly sited renewables. There is no meaningful way for citizens and municipalities, including the citizens and the elected officials of Irisburg, to have a voice clear in the Public Service Board process. Although we are grateful that there has been some changes, we don't believe it's been enough. And I'm hopeful that many of those that we've heard in the Senate chamber will be able to speak here and allude to more specific issues that they've had with the PSB. Wind developers have deep pockets and experienced teams of attorneys to advocate for them. To have any kind of voice in the process, small rural towns are forced to try to come up with many tens of thousands of dollars that they don't have in order to pay legal fees for specialized attorneys to represent their interests before the PSB. This is true of Irisburg. We have one lawyer. We have a lot of volunteers. We've been already approached by 2 attorney teams that are working on this project. It is truly like a David and Goliath situation. The legislature should, and we're asking you to please consider taking action so that towns are not forced into this unfair position or practice. Future renewable projects in Vermont should go forward only with the community's participation from the outset. This is our number one problem that we've had with the Irisburg. We believe it was in place long before it even came to our attention, and we were caught totally off guard to the process. And only on a scale and in a manner that preserves Vermont's working landscape and directly benefits local communities. I think in the end, all of Vermont will benefit from this common sense approach. Again, thank you for your time.
Any questions?
Yes, sir.
So, do you have any provision in your town plan regarding renewable energy development?
Sadly, that's where this particular developer has been able to come at us at this process because we don't.
You know,
And so we're behind the curve on that. We did send forth the resolution by vote before any permitting had been processed to state that we did not want any of the industrial wind on our ridge lines.
okay, are there areas that have been identified in your town where renewable energy could be properly sited?
Right now, our planning board is discussing those areas, and there has been areas that we think would work for renewable energy.
Where is this project in the, have they received any permits or?
No, and we haven't received any permits, which has been puzzling to us because he's had sufficient time to do it. The process that started with this particular developer came to our attention in July. It just so happened that he came to a select board meeting in which one of our select board members was out of town and the other was sick, so we couldn't have a quorum. Dropped off a brochure, and Since then, he's been invited to speak at 2 other occasions, but has denied. He has invited some townspeople to his property that he now owns up on this ridge line to discuss the possibilities. These towers that he's suggesting are in not residential in the sense of metropolitan, but definitely a number of homes are situated on this ridge line because it is one of the most popular areas of our town.
Yes, once in a while I drive up to Morgan. How many of these Lowell Mountain towers can Irisburg, is that from the view shed of Irisburg?
Nothing has been put to us to even discuss how many could be there. This developer 5 years ago bought 60 acres there.
I'm sorry, I didn't phrase my
I'm sorry.
question properly. Can you see from Irisburg the Lowell Mountain wind turbines?
You can, from the southern part of Irisburg, begin to see that ridge line. From certain terrain in Irisburg, you can see the Lowell. From the Kidder Ridge line, you can see all of Sheffield Heights. So there's a total of 37 we're sitting between the two.
And do you get any town money? I realize from Lowell gets quite a bit of money, hundreds of $1,000s a year. Does Irisburg get any money because they're next to the Lowell Mountain project? Is that part of any proposal with these?
We get $10,000.
And is there any proposal that Irisburg would get any money from this proposed development?
He has not said specifically, because he's not met with us. I can only go on hearsay, which he has said to be really sure it would be around 40,000.
What role has your regional planning commission played in this, if any?
Because, as I indicated, one of the things about some of the towns in rural Vermont, in particular Irisburg, we prided ourselves in not having this issue of zoning, which became the thing that's now put the knife in our back. So we were getting on board fast and furious, and the regional district is helping support us with information. We have now moved ahead with at least talking with a consultant that will be paid by the town to move it along faster. And we have a commission that's been put together by the select board that has 5 members on it now, and discussions have already begun.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Thank you. Who's next?
You want to use
There's
those?
probably-
No, there's no list, so.
I don't know if it's appropriate, because this is citing and,
Just start by telling us who you are.
my name is
That's all.
Stephen Marks. I'm a selectman in the town of Stratford, and I don't do well in front of talking in front of people, so
We're just like,
I know, it doesn't matter.
just relax and tell us what you want to say.
Well, first of all, Stratford, we have a 4.9K going in at the mine site in Stratford. And the developer who developed that site worked with the federal government, and they designed it so that the site would go in, and when the select board voted on it, it was a 4-to-1 vote. And then we found out that the regs were sold out of state, so we voted again unanimously to not go in, because we felt that if Vermont isn't getting anything out of this, why are we doing this for Connecticut? So we wrote a letter asking the electric company.
Is this a solar project?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a solar project. We asked the electric company if they would sell back the regs or give back the regs, and they wrote us back that they would after 7 years start and give us like 60%, and after 10 years we would have them all back. So we've been very happy with that. By the way, I live in a house that I've been off the grid for 30 years with solar power, and it's absolutely wonderful. I would recommend it to everybody. You get no electric bill. Every 6 years I have to buy new batteries. Basically, that's all I have to do. So when you're talking about siting, I think that we should be siting on people's houses. Every parking lot should be sited. I mean, this is where it should be going. I mean, VTC is talking about doing a site on one of their agricultural lands, and they have acres of parking lots. But anyway, I digress. So for me, it's really about why are we doing this? Are we doing this for Vermonters, or are we doing this so that Connecticut and Massachusetts can have solar power? I mean, and when I heard just now people talk, one of the things that came to my mind was in the 50s they were talking about putting in roads on all the mountains in Vermont, you know, and that got killed. And if it didn't, we would be just like Virginia. We would have all these roads on our mountains. Well, putting wind towers is doing the same thing. We're blowing up our mountains. But anyway, I'm sorry. You know, it's very emotional for me because I love this state. I mean, I think it's incredible, and just the fact that I can talk here is incredible for me. But what's happening for us? What's happening is that the Public Service Board isn't listening. I mean, I just found we had a Public Service Board meeting in Stratford, and they told us that the Select Board had no standing at that meeting. Now, we're the Select Board, you know, the Select Board and the what's the one Planning Commission, thank you. They should have standing. I mean, if anybody should have standing, and I mean, I was so angry I couldn't even speak at the meeting. I had to sit down, and I mean, I was able to at the end, but there's something not right. There's just something really not right, and I hope that you can all figure it out and change it. Because, you know, because if we don't, we're going to lose it. And like I said, I think solar is incredible. But one of the advantages of putting it on buildings and in smaller areas rather than bigger areas, the way I see it, it employs more people. You're going to have a lot more people working, and that's what counts. I mean, you know, you get a big solar project like the one in Stratford, they're going to put this thing up, and then it's done. You know, they'll have somebody coming and checking it once in a while. The neighbors will hear the noise from the inverters, but that's it. But if you have it on a house, it you know, it's like it makes more jobs than that does. And it's also local jobs. It's not this big company coming in from Massachusetts and putting in, and then you also don't have to worry about, what do we talk about, 500 not dump trucks, cement trucks that are going to come through Stratford roads. So we have to get the state to come in and use a laser so that we find out if they ruin our roads, and they're going to have to fix them.
And I'm asking this because I don't know. Isn't the old mine location a good location for a solar project? What else are you going to do with that land?
It's great. No.
So your biggest argument is the fact that the wrecks are being sold out of state?
Is the wrecks are being sold out of state, and also that the Public Service Board wouldn't take our comments.
Okay.
I mean, we're the Select Board.
Yeah.
I mean, people voted for me, and I feel like I represent them, and for me to go to a meeting and to have them say, well, what you're saying doesn't count, that doesn't make any sense.
I think you've done a good job of talking and getting your point across for someone who was afraid to sit down and talk to us.
I got a big mouth, so once I start, but I am nervous and I'm sweating now, and it's like, but I do appreciate it, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
I'm Russ Hodgkins. I am the town manager and zoning administrator for Westminster, Vermont. Mostly an agricultural community, historic community, first township in the state of Vermont. We've been inundated with solar. We're working on 7 projects. All but 2 have been completed. We've sent letters as a planning commission, select board, and DRB. And we have not got a response. Not one email, not one letter, note, etc.
To who?
to us
No, no.
regarding to
Who'd
the
you send the letters to?
Public Service Board.
And you have not gotten one
We have
response?
not got one response. We get the 45-day notice that the project is underway. Again, I've heard testimony that it puts us 2 steps back. Well, it sure does. It's now a scramble. We don't have the resources that we're up against. We've lost prime farmland, our only commercial/industrial park that the town spent about $30,000 creating a planned unit development for. We've lost, the last one was a deer yard. All of these were given to us that these are protected areas. We will look at these as being protected and we won't infringe on your prime lands. Without regard to our brand new town plan that we worked very hard for, our brand new zoning bylaws, sent copies of both of those documents to them, stating the facts. We have received nothing. We're at a point where it's going to start affecting our economy. We're to a point where we've lost all our economic growth areas, there's growth centers that a town plan is supposed to show and delineate. We've lost those. And I guess in closing, it's what gets us the most is we have not seen not one person come down and see where they're talking about. They do it from here, they do it from up north, and it seems like the public good is really servicing not the area that it's going in, but it's the public good that they deem as appropriate. So thank you very much for being heard and
Well, I think it's pretty
thank you for all your work.
disturbing to hear that common courtesy, at the very least, has not been extended to you. It's part of a letter that I wrote to the Public Service Board saying there's nothing in statute that says you shouldn't and can't provide good customer service. I'm very hopeful that they are beginning to listen. It is a process that the public needs to understand, needs to know how they can be a part of it, but we also have to know that it is quasi-judicial, so the judicial part is much like our court system, and there are certain things that people have to do and adhere to, and they have to learn that. But common courtesy and customer service, thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
All the projects you're talking about are solar projects.
That's correct.
Yeah.
We're a flat farmland.
Right, and so you're maybe not, you don't know, but maybe you're not opposed to the projects, but you would like to have some input.
Absolutely.
Is that
Again,
more-
Westminster as a whole are very much for renewable energy. It's the placement of them. We have not yet had any input to where they've chosen. And to be honest, there's not one of them that are in a great location. Like I said, deer yards, our only commercial industrial park, and farmland.
So talk to us about your industrial park.
We have one section that's at an intersection of 3 major interstates. It was a perfect location. About 7 years ago, we had a planned unit development created with the landowners, and at this point we had only sold just one lot, and the one lot was put on hold. And apparently, it's high and dry. It's not in the floodplain. There's the regulations in our town plan are very clear that there will be no floodplain construction, and they deemed that as an appropriate site, and they took all 6 lots, 2 one at one point, 2 at another point, and the last 2 this last time. And they aren't built yet. Those aren't, but they're earmarked. So we've lost the complete.
Did you have that? Somebody had their hand up.
So, I want to apologize for the disrespectful way in which you and your board has been dealt from the Public Service Board.